The customer is always right. You've probably heard that saying your entire life, and I want to talk about that today and why it's not always right. My name is Mike. This is all about pressure washing, the #1 pressure washing channel on YouTube, and that is because of you, and I thank you for watching. Okay, so it's 2022, and that saying was coined by some guy called Harry Gordon Selfridge in the early 1900s, and old Harry was wrong then, and he's wrong now. And I'm going to tell you why I think that the customer is not always right. But before we get into that, I wanted to tell you about How to Wash, the complete guide. Aaron Parker, Cody Yarborough, Justin Rogers, and myself have put together the top-selling pressure washing and soft washing training in the world, where we cover everything from the chemicals to use, what ratios you use, how to mix them, and how to apply them, as well as how to wash every surface from the roof to the curb at any residential property. We go over the equipment, we do on-site job walkthroughs, we give you our pro tips and basically get you up to speed on everything that you need to know on how to get out there and hit the ground running. And I'm going to give you $50 off because you're watching this right now. Use promo code SPRING50. There is a link in the description below. So let's talk about why the customer is not always right. The idea behind this phrase is to instill a sense of quality customer service and create loyalty and trust with your customer. And if you ever watch my channel, you know I am a huge proponent of making the customer experience special. I want to make it unbelievably easy for people to do business with my company. People have the need for instant gratification, and because of that, we need to alter the way that we do business. We need to automate. We need to be prompt. We need to be efficient. We need to be faster than everybody else out there in our market. The first person to answer the phone, the first person to give a quote is usually the first person that gets the job. That's the world that we live in. If you can't adapt, you're not going to be as busy as the people that do. And I'm not saying that you're not going to be busy. I'm not saying that you're not going to be successful. I'm saying that if you don't adapt to the changes that are needed in order to keep up with the Amazon mentality, the Google mindset, then your business is going to suffer to some degree. And by saying that the customer is always right, you're actually creating lots of problems for yourself down the road, your business and your bottom line. So I'm going to give you 4 reasons why you should write that phrase down, then crumple it up and throw it in the trash can. All right, number 1, I've heard this saying a few times, and I think it's a little bit more accurate than the one we just talked about, and that is the customer is always right, but they might not be right for you. As business owners, we need to understand that not every customer is our customer, and there are lots of reasons why they might not be, and we'll talk about a few of them. Like this one. I bet you get the call all the time where the customer wants a house wash. You give them a price, and they tell you maybe it's a little bit too expensive, and now they tell you that they only want 2 sides of the house done. Same thing with roof washes, right? They only want 1 side of the roof done. Now, I'm not going to do this because it's a disservice to them. And what they don't understand is if we don't clean the property properly, then they're going to give us a call back sooner than they normally would because that mold, that mildew, that algae, all those organics that were not killed on the other sides are still there. They were still there. They're just not as visible, and they're going to spread rapidly and make the house as dirty as it was a lot faster than if we did a proper job cleaning. And I'm willing to walk away from that job and that money because I don't want anybody talking smack about my business because they didn't think we did a good job, right? Perception is reality. Hey man, you just had your house washed by All American a few months ago and it looks like crap. Look, I don't want my name attached to those types of comments or the perception of friends and neighbors that my company did a bad job. Not that they were too cheap to get the entire house washed, right? So this is just one example of why we need to shift the customer service mantra from the customer is always right to maybe the customer isn't always right. All right, number 2, by always siding with the customer, always agreeing that they are right regardless of the situation, you're caving in and you're not standing up for yourself or supporting your employees. And a prime example of this is when you give a quote to somebody, they agree to the price, let's call it a house wash. You go, you perform the service, you do an outstanding job, everything looks great, you're proud of the work that you've done, the customer comes out and says, hey, I thought the driveway was included. Well, no, because you only quoted them on the house, not the driveway. And just because they think it should be included doesn't mean that it should be included. Hence, they're not right. Of course, you can give them a quote, tell them it's going to be an additional $250 or whatever your price is, and you move on. But by saying yes, you're going to go ahead and take care of the driveway for the same price. You're setting a really bad precedent for yourself and your business. You're allowing that customer to dictate to you what you're going to do and how to run your business, and that's not how it works. And if you happen to have employees and your guys are out there, they're working hard, they're doing a great job, and a customer calls and complains about something, right? Instead of just immediately siding with the customer, we need to evaluate the situation and determine the best course of action. I run into this all the time, and that's why we do our pre-inspection walkthroughs, and that's why we have, or we try to have, great great communication between my technicians and myself, and then myself and the customer, so we can do our best to eliminate all of these type of things, right? But if you don't have the systems in place, it gets a little bit more difficult to manage. But you need to take care of your employees, and you have to have their backs. Customers are the lifeblood of our business. We all know that. But your employees are just as important, and keeping quality employees who you trust and who you have the confidence in, who are good stewards of your name and represent your company well, are your top priority. If the customer is always right, then employees get the short end of the stick, and they feel that you're not supporting them as the boss. And then what happens? You lose great employees. So always support your team first, and then the customer second. All right, so on to number 3. Not all customers are worth keeping. Look, unpleasant customers are unavoidable when you're doing business, but that doesn't mean you need to keep doing business with them, right? There are customers that are not worth having, including the ones that are maybe unreasonable. They don't pay on time. They micromanage you or your team when you're out there working, pointing out spots that you missed before you're even done rinsing. You guys know these types, right? You know the ones that I'm talking about. You've experienced it. Or the ones that just take up way too much of your time. Time is one of your most valuable resources, and I think it's something that is overlooked when it comes to handling customers. I hear people say, and I read comments all the time that say that the customer is paying you and you should stand around and talk to them about whatever it is they want to talk about. And that's great. You can do that. I'm not going to do that, and we're probably going to try to avoid customers like that in the future. Time is money, and we're not making money if we're standing around chit-chatting. We were hired to perform a specific service. We're going to do that job. We're going to do it above and beyond the customer's expectations, and that does not require any chit-chat on our part. So that's my 2 cents on that. All right, 4th and last, you can't please everybody all of the time, and then there are some people that you're never going to be able to please. Trying to please everyone is also like saying that everyone is your customer. This alone is a horrible business model. There's another old saying, if everyone is your customer, you don't have any. Why? Because if every single person out there was a customer and you want to be able to provide your service to everyone out there, then you have no target audience. You have not identified who your ideal customer is. Therefore, you don't have the opportunity to hone in on your marketing to target those customers with pinpoint precision, and that's a bad thing. So let's wrap it up with this. How do you know when it's time to let a customer go? You apply the 80-20 rule. You identify those customers that are causing the most headaches, and you let them go. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that it made a little bit of sense to you. Don't forget to check out How to Wash the Complete Guide. There is a link below. You can use promo code SPRING50 to get that $50 off, and I hope you have a great day.